I'll tell you anything for the right amount of bits.
Yo, yo, yo. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm losing a little bit practice. Alright, guys. Welcome to the FC chats. I know it's a little delayed. I was sick as fuck last week. I could talk, but you wouldn't have enjoyed it, trust me. You might just still hear it in my voice a little bit, but yeah, I think it should sound alright. Already sorry in advance if I ever cough or sneeze or whatever in the mic. I'll try to mute it in time. Today we have a guest who's coming. Actually, that's a question I will have to ask. I'm not even sure if that's true, but who has been coming over from a Chinese server years ago. I think one of the first bigger Chinese groups on our server. Has been building that up not too far from site for us. We have fought when you guys were super small, and we have fought a good few times also more recently, including yesterday. But whenever we had contact, like always friendly, always like nice to deal with, and yeah, just good times. And yeah, no drama. And
Do you remember Curse?
I remember Curse very well, yeah. And I think I might just tell a story later, like of course. But yeah, Noraus has been leading Fraternity for like how long? A couple years now.
3 or 2 years, 3 or 4 years, I think. Yeah.
So 3 or 4 years, and probably might be able to give us some insight in the Chinese culture, player base, and so on. Which I think we all agree is a little bit unique in more than
That's
one
right.
way.
But it's not that different from the public.
Not
Yeah.
that different.
Yeah, it's not exotic.
Well, it always seems like it from the outside, though. That's for sure. Hey, thanks for the subs, Taro. Much appreciated. Um, so like, are you mostly FCing, or like, what do you actually do like on a day-to-day basis in Eve? What do you think?
Unfortunately, you invited all my friends to your episodes. You invited Elo, Kandar, Iwanto, and I was like, oh, maybe I could be in the Cookies Club too. But I don't regularly FC anymore. I think only for home defense to protect my rock house. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I've degenerated to a paper pusher most of the time recently.
Well, you did FC yesterday, didn't you?
In the Aztec 8, in the Tino fights, no, that wasn't me.
Oh, oh, you were on grid though.
Nope, I was
You
like
weren't?
backseating.
But
I
you
was
were there.
backseating the whole time.
I thought I saw you.
Yeah, I was lighting the Sino, but after that, he killed me,
Oh,
and
wait a
I had to
second.
leave. Right?
No. The signer was called Noraus? That's why I saw you?
Yeah, that was me.
So for those who don't know, there was like a massive fight, which I also like, that's why I'm a little bit tired and stuff, but there was a massive fight up until, like the war's picking up finally, and now, I can take out fleets too, since I'm not sick anymore, or not in London and all that stuff, so we've got the time, we're picking it up. And a big fight about some IHUB kicked off, and PanFam called in Fraternity, and you guys showed up, and obviously I was in a small, like the tiniest Stuka fleet you can imagine, just like it was more for test purposes than anything else, to see like, can we actually make it work with a tiny group in a tie-dye fight, and tie-dye fights are always 8s, you know that. And then Fraternity shows up, and you guys warped super close to me, like,
You subscribed to Pando?
you tried to kill me,
That's
right?
so
Oh my
Dude, you
Stukas.
were super close to me. More like.
Well, afterwards, yeah. But yeah. Thanks for the sub, Hoffman. So you guys warped close to me to headshot my fleet, or like, you don't even have to headshot. It was so small, just free fire, and like in a minute it would have been done.
You
Right?
know, that's the thing. Like, you never fly a monitor because that brings the urge to handshot an FC from the old time. It's like an old habit, right?
I do fly the monitor every now and then.
Really?
You know what?
Yeah.
Actually, I undocked in the monitor, set on Titan with the Stuka guys, and I'm like, it's just so shit to fly. Like, it's not because it's just not maneuverable. It's just
I,
8s in a
I
small
guess you
fleet.
just want to leave early. Just leave.
No, well, I survived in a heartbeat on that grid, but I didn't get into range all that many times, no. But yeah, and when you guys warped close to us to kill our fleet, we actually warped over to your silo, and that was you.
Right. Next turn is my holding thought. Yes.
There you go. And why didn't you warp over to us? Because
Sorry,
there
what
was.
was that?
Why didn't you warp over to us then? Killing a
I
silo.
mean, come on, that tie dye, 10% tie dye was 700k of work. It would take like 1 minute to reposition, right? It's almost impossible.
Yeah, you know what? I was hoping you would do it, because maybe you need the signer for something else, you know? Maybe you want to save that one signer. So,
That's alright. We have
what I
backups.
did. Yeah, I know everyone has backups, but still, it's annoying to lose that recon. You never know, you need an extra signer. But we warped over to the Sino, and I asked for a dictator, and we didn't have many dictators. Our numbers weren't great at like 0400. It's craziness, right? Oh, what time was it actually? Oh, 500 probably by that time, or 600. We warp over, and I'm asking for a dictator. I'm like, come on, some dictator, warp over, give me something. And then a guy from your fleet actually warps over and bubbles. I'm like, alright, that works. And I was hoping you guys would warp over so I could give it a shot and try to bomb you guys, but yeah.
Yeah.
You probably
Well,
know
just
that.
typical my fleet, my dictators.
Well, technically it wasn't wrong to bubble us.
But what's
Depends.
the point? You're gonna leave anytime soon, right? All my dictators were screaming, "Can we bubble the Goons Eagles? They look delicious." I was like, "No, well, they're not leaving yet, so why would you waste your sabers to them? Suiciding, right?"
Yeah, well, but I think 90%, let's say 50% of all dictators are like that, right? They whoop in and bubble and sacrifice themselves and feel like they did a good job, you know.
That's right. Yes.
And then yeah, I bubbled the hostile. That's my job, right? It's like nah, timing and position kind of plays a role.
It
But
is
what you gonna
all
do?
indeed about time. I agree.
And it's hard to train dictators in a real environment. And also dictators, I think their most important job is when like it's playtime. When it's under pressure and important, and your adrenaline kicks in a little bit and stuff like this. Right. So
Yeah,
that makes
I
it harder.
think we all own our saber pilots acknowledgement. At least they're constantly under pressure. They're always the one to be blamed off.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the hardest jobs. It can be the easiest job in the world, but it can be the hardest job too. So shout out to all the good dictator pilots. I know a few, but they're rare. Yeah. Um. So let me tell you a story. I had one from the curse days. So you remember, you guys were staging in, I forgot the system name.
OSY Tech Easy.
OSY, yeah. So we were actually actively hunting, always with co-op, having a look around and stuff like this. And you guys would always react super fast. So usually when you tackle like a Care Bear, like a missioning Macarial or something, you can kill that thing. Nobody's gonna show up anyway. But you guys would always react super fast, no matter what ships we were. And then we tried to adjust, and that's just corp level first, right? So we're doing it with Stratiuses, and usually they've got enough DPS to kill any Care Bear, but no, you guys are so fast that we always had to, be very, very careful. And the first time we actually whelped a couple Stratius, I don't even know how many, like 6, 7, 8. And at the time, it was, was a little bit different with pricing and stuff, I feel like. So you were still, you didn't want to lose Stratiuses.
Jesus, when was that? It was like 2012, 2014.
I don't know, that's long ago. That's long ago.
You were regularly switching your base from GTAQ and some random low side, right? Or even Fountain. And this is always your ancestral's home.
No,
And like
you
right
guys were
after, do
switching.
you remember the right? Do you remember CCP changed the contact list, not the watch
Yeah.
list, but the friend list, right? So that after the change, I saw like Pandora Lika, it's online. I was like, okay, so he's been watching it too.
Yeah, those were the times. For those who are not aware, you could just add someone to your contacts, hostile or friendly, mostly hostile, and the second they log in, you get a notification. Just how you do it now if you both are added. Used for supers and titans and hunters and care bears and everything. Made hunting easy, but it made care bears a little bit safer too. You know what was funny though? When that change was implemented, you had to have both sides had to have each other on contacts, and then you could see. Yeah, I had some, for example, some multi-boxing carrier Care Bears and stuff on my contact, and they had me too. So you could see who got each other contacted. It was kind of fun. But yeah, you guys from the start were super organized. I felt like, organized for the group that it like not typical for the area people were living in. Like there was more like a curse. It's usually like people are winging it. Or would you agree? Like you guys were like a little bit more organized than other groups, right?
Well, probably because our inner time zone in this language barrier, the people have no other choice. People have no other options, right? And Curse was not the first, the very first Chinese alliance. I think we were following Sister Bliss initially in Immensia. That's where the Chinese get the first stop on in CKX, and later on we get disbanded all the dramas. Some people decided to fall back to NPC now side. So they
Oh,
already had some experience about running an alliance on a large scale. and yeah, I guess.
Well, I didn't even know that. But I mean, our alliances at some point in that curse time were very similar. I mean, we were a little bit bigger in size, definitely, and the time zone is different, but both of us were just living in one system, primarily running missions as the income source. And I think that's viable to this day. Like, you can still make good money doing that with almost zero risk, and the entire alliance can live in one system. Right? That's super strong. Like, I always
There's no
loved
way
that.
to tax them.
There's no ways to tax them. That's true. But do you need to tax as an alliance? You don't hold soft. You don't have anything to organize. That's what I always loved about Curse. Like, the alliance doesn't have to do shit other than provide the content. So everything was focused towards content, and that was, in my opinion, that was the greatest part about it. But you can't just pick up and move, because you can only run missions here and there. Which
That's
we did
true.
anyway.
Yeah. If you come to OSY Tech Unity right now, you still see a bunch of 30, 20-ish Chinese always living there, even if they are like in fraternity. They're always constantly doing their own thing, which is fun.
You know what? I actually see that all the time when I'm looking for raw cards. I see it on the map. I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, that's OSY. I'm not even kidding. It's like a little bit of a blob on the map, and there's not much surrounding it. It's OSY.
Yeah.
But
And there was
so
Organ Empire, right? Remember White Dawn?
yeah, but they're not Chinese. They're Russian, right?
Right, they're Russian. Pretty
Yeah,
scary.
they were good. Yeah, they were good
Starfleet.
pilots. We had a lot of good smaller groups in Curse. Gorgon Empire, and then before that, Darkness. Dark Side, sorry, Darkness. And there was a lot of smaller groups. Like, Curse was like really good back then.
Yeah. The gay campers in the Zendaya and the Rio, they still live there. Yeah.
Like, I'm not. You know what? Zendaya and Daryl was never that busy, but what was always camped. What's the system name? 9-A? No. On the way to KHQ, you know? On the way to the Epic Arc. I forgot the system name. I would have to look it up.
AG Tag. That's the
Yeah,
AG Tag.
yeah. Those guys live there, like Art of War Alliance. They've been there for like 7 years straight, only camping one system. Like, talk about not being able to pick it up and leave. Right?
That's some weird people that Eve was.
Definitely, yeah. You have to be a little bit crazy to play Eve, in my opinion, anyway.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that.
So, when we were living there, I'm trying to adjust to you guys because you're reacting so quick. I'm trying to read, like, okay, what do they do? Eh? And you just formed, I forgot what it was at the time. The flavor of the month there. You guys formed, but you formed quick. So I tried to set stuff up. And our time zone, that's not our time zone at all. So I'm like trying to set this up with Titan bridges and everything to get in range, and you know, having everything ready on both sides, and like everything is perfect. And then it's play day, you know, so we have to make it happen. So I'm logging in, everything is there, and you guys were always active every day, all day, always the same activity level, kind of. So I could bank on that. And I log in, and we're trying to bait you guys, and nobody's home. Like, there was like 10 dudes floating around doing whatever, but nobody was majorly like doing anything. And I thought it was a spy thing or whatever. But you know what turned out? It was Chinese New Year. It was the year of the fire monkey or something.
That's how you screw.
Yeah, and nobody was home actually, and we were sitting there all ready to go, like massive form up to, you know, blob you guys to death, and nobody was home because you know, Chinese culture strikes again.
I give the calendar next time. It's lunar year.
Yeah, It was so funny. We were sitting there for half an hour. Everyone was wondering, like, what's happening? And why is Pando like, why are we sitting on Titan here? You know? And then someone said, like, it's Chinese New Year, actually. Oh no. Yeah, didn't see that coming. But yeah, were you FCing at the time already?
Yeah, I was. That's why I have you on my contact list.
Yeah, and then like, so you said you were leading a fraternity for like what, 3 years at this point, but fraternity's a little older, right? So you took over at some point?
I go over after Wind Spirit. He is the founder of fraternity.
Hmm.
Yeah, fraternity. I think it was born 6 years ago, right? Sometime 6 years, 7 years ago.
I'm not entirely sure. I didn't look it up. I always assumed you were like leading fraternity from the start. I don't know why. But no.
I would have no hair if I did that by this point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
it's 2013, so
that's what you do mainly now, is organizing and running the show like in the background, huh? That's why you were probably so glad to have Elo around in that
that's
last war.
true. Yeah, I mean, everyone would be very glad to have a prominent FC around. But Elo and I would just have some special chemicals, right? Would work really well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly worked in that case. Even though he lost the war, I felt like on paper nobody would be giving you guys the shot there anyway. I mean, against Legacy, and you know they're backed up by Imperium to a degree. And like, what's the end result gonna be like? You kinda knew it going in, but you fought anyway, which
Yeah. Well,
but
it's a pretty intense learning experience for me.
yeah, and then that Elo comes over and says like, "Oh, I'm joining. It's fine." I'm not sure if there was an ISK deal involved or things like that.
No,
I
not
don't
at
think
all.
so though. Like, plenty of that. But yeah, it was interesting. So how was it um to deal to work with Elo? Like, was it like simply like easy peasy? He came in and took over, and everyone joined his fleets. Because a lot of times people have that issue. Like, there's a new FC coming in, and like he's demanding, and then people don't like to be, to be
Yeah,
dragged
I
into fleet.
mean, talks really fast. Like even the native English just couldn't follow sometimes. And then we mostly are Chinese. We will maybe use one or two translators designating every time zone for him. But by the time he comes, everyone pretty much know who he is and his names. So, and after one or two few fleets, people know like he can actually do shit. So he will always get the number.
Yeah. Yeah, you usually, I think, as an FC, you need like a breakout fleet or two for people to see the potential at least.
That's right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a
And then
trial.
people start joining. Yeah. And sorry, what did you say?
I mean, it's like a trial moment for every FC.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's always like people have to see you're putting in effort, then you bring enough experience to make it happen, and you're not like some space princess that demands to be carried on your hands and shit like this. You know what I mean? I think it's important to like don't go overboard with it.
Yeah, I believe you have seen a lot of both kind of peoples, right? So you know some like who will be succeed, who will be actually eventually no name left behind. So I can see some potentials in RFC teams. You know, after the war, I had a conversation with Vily after the eviction actually, and he said like I need to work on my FCT, which I totally agree. It couldn't be just Elo Knight. It has to be different layers of Cs with a multiple people in the team.
Yeah, I totally agree. that's something we're working on too. We have a lot of FCs, but it's tricky. It's not easy. It's not like, how do you promote FCs? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to promote a demo someone, but what hard is to get content and to get practices in the game at this meta. You know, I mean, it probably is harder for you guys in EU time zone because the competition is just too hard.
Yeah, you know, EU time zone is my least favorite time zone to fly in. People are risk averse, and it's not that active PvP wise. It just isn't. I mostly enjoy like Russian or I think Russian time zone or US time zone are way easier to get fights, to get good fights and stuff like this. Yeah, I a lot of times, that's why I like traditionally slid always into the US time zone, like 0100 or 200. That can be super, it can be 0400 for me. It's just way the better time zone to get fights. It's just how it is. And is it a cultural thing? I don't know. I would argue though, it is.
Hmm, it sounds tricky then. I always thought EU time zone gets the most content. I mean, most average content.
Yeah,
Only
so
the very best one happens in AUTC maybe.
not the most content per pilot though. I don't think so.
Oh,
So if you have
the most.
100, let's say you have 100 dudes all over EVE, it's 100 dudes active. I mean, let's say, it sounds a little bit too sad, but 50 of them might just get something. You know what I mean? While in Russian time
True.
zone or US time zone, it might be 70 or something. But now the reality is, Euro time zone has like way more people. So yeah, you get like more people with like content, but on average, I don't think that's better. I think the US or Russian time zone is better. But it's hard to measure. Right? It's hard to say.
It's hard to measure indeed.
But like, so how do you organize the FC team? Like, how do you try to build up an FC team, like from new, or not completely new, but like,
We've tried experiences from different coalitions. Currently, we're working on 3 tiers. Like you can be admitted per your ZQ board to be a junior FC, and then you'll be given the keys to some certain doctrines that is not overly expensive, right? Fun to play, and not actually require the blob to work. And after several fleets, if you're showing your potential, you'll be promoted and invited to a special group, like a channel, where we will coach you to FC. We will backseat you on some major timers. And if you eventually graduate out of that, you can be a Strat FC. So 3 layers basically for now.
oh, I mean, it's similar to our system actually. We reworked our FC structure not too long ago, and I think like we're still not done yet. It's probably like a year in or something. It's very similar though. Like, you start as a FC recruit. Anyone can join that. It's basically you
Right.
saying I've interest in FC, right? And then they
But
can
we
fly wherever
require
they
like some
want.
kill board activities, right? We don't just take everyone. You have to show your interest like enough on your ZQ board.
Yeah. So basically, what we're also running is on forums, you are supposed to log your stuff. So that's like the minimal effort, right? Just log, like put it into your log that you took out a fleet and what was it, and maybe like a little comment of what
Oh yeah,
went wrong
sure.
and stuff. And that's the first layer, and then we have 4, 5 other. Maybe. Yeah, we've recruit roaming. Then we've got assistants. You know, I had actually one episode of just assistants with Chiana, who you probably know well, Ari,
Yes.
and Paperback. And then we've got skirmish, tactical, and strategic, right? So it's like there's a couple layers. It's a little bit too complicated, perhaps. I'm thinking about it. Maybe there's an extra layer too much. But yeah, very similar. Right? We're expecting people to do certain things. But then also, you said it's easy to promote and demote people. I think that's way harder. Yeah, I mean, promoting people, that's easy peasy. But demoting people, that's always tricky, I feel like.
Right. It takes some paper pushing works to get someone peacefully handed out their keys. I know, gracefully.
Yeah. So what we tried, or are still trying to do, is have it completely number based. So someone gets promoted just based on numbers and facts, hard facts. So nobody can claim, hey, I'm just getting demoted because you don't like me, because you have, like, we all have seen that before. That case of like, I'm already the best FC the world has ever seen. I don't need to learn. And then they, whelp your fleets and stuff. We try to do that like number based. It's very hard though, obviously. But you guys are just like, you just point your finger on it and say, okay, this guy has potential, I like him, boom, and you promote him. That's it.
Well, after several fleets you didn't feed, you actually killed a lot of things, and the organization is smooth. It's very organized. You get everyone's home. You don't waste people's time waiting on a wormhole or a Titan for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I would say, well, there's a potential. You know, it's not about only the skills, the mechanics on grid. It's how you manage the flow of a fleet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's actually one of the things we wrote down in our FC promotion kind of thing. Is
Oh, yeah, for
should
sure
not
for that.
waste people's time. It's very important. Short form ups with
You
like
subscribe to Panda?
quick travel time.
That's so
Oh, holy
hot.
shit! Thanks, Quetz, for all the subs. Thanks a lot, dude. Cozy McLeod, Rasidics,
You
Donald,
subscribe to Panda?
Pepix,
That's so
Ragemaster,
hot.
Rio, Dux, Tiebreak, Space Loot. Thanks a lot, dude.
You subscribe to Panda?
Sorry,
That's
where was
so
I?
hot.
Got distracted here by Quetz and fucking dropping the sub bomb, you know? Oh yeah, we put
you
in there
subscribe to Panda?
numbers.
That's so hot.
Numbers are one thing, but then also don't waste people's time. For example, I always set the goal to form within 15 minutes. I feel like that's an okay time frame to form a proper fleet.
That's so hot.
If people like 30 minutes because it's a little bit more complicated and stuff like this, or if you're new, that's totally fine. But you can't form for an hour.
You subscribe to Panda?
Unless it's a major timer,
That's
right?
so
Like that thing
hot.
yesterday, for example.
Right.
And I feel like, yeah,
and
and then
better not get canned.
Say it again. What?
You
You better
subscribe to
not get
Panda?
canned. That would be so good.
That's
And
so
your
hot.
own fleet for maybe 2 or 3 days and pin them every day to log in back and come back home. Eventually, you
Yeah.
have to log off again.
Yeah,
That would kill the
subscribe to
FC.
Panda?
Yeah, that's bad.
That's so hot.
And then also sitting on Titan for ages and stuff like this, that's usually down to poor planning.
You subscribe
So
to
what I would
Panda?
like to see always from an
That's
FC is
so hot.
like have it planned out, and then like think about the execution. Because a lot of times I feel like they think, like, let's say you're hunting
you
a
subscribe
Titan,
to Panda?
and they like the
That's
part of the
so
plan with the
hot.
tackle that just goes, oh yeah, we're just gonna warp in a hick. But like, so is the hick locked off? Is the hick cloaked on grid? Is the hick whatever? Like, who is the hick? Is the hick in Fraternity and everyone knows it's our hick, or is it, all these details are all not planned out, and then it can't work because they, in their mind, it's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna warp in the hick. Oh, you have to plan a little bit ahead, right? And I feel like that's important too.
Yeah.
Have a plan and don't waste time. What other qualities do you think a good FC? What do you look for?
Mostly know when to extract. I think there's something lacking in the Chinese FC team. I remember the comments from Kila B. He was like, a fraternity can always do something amazing and then feed at the end because they don't know when to extract.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right, if you say so.
Yeah. I mean, it's a valid point. I had trouble with that in the past, and people started calling me the Black Knight, you know, from Monty Python. It's just a flesh wound. We can still fight. I mean,
We just
yeah.
want to test our limits, right? That was like me. Right? I never lived without lost maybe at least half of my fleet because I want to test my limit.
Yes, I agree. It always depends on the doctrine, though. Like I can't do it with Lokis, for example. I'm gonna be very careful with
Sorry.
that. But if I'm in Ishtars or Munins, even though like if I just can't do it. Munins or Eagles, like fuck that shit. It's not my thing. Like I can't do it. It's too boring. There's nothing to it. I feel like just too. I mean, there are a lot of things to it. Don't get me wrong, but come on. Like primary is this guy, secondary is this guy. That's not
You
my thing.
subscribe to Pando? That's so hot.
Yo, Duffy. I recognize that name. Thanks, dude. What other qualities? What do you think? So knowing when to extract, I'm actually struggling with that to this day, I have to say.
Right. And
I'm
better
trying to get there.
planning and just like do not leave human arrows to your line members. Just always. I maybe I shouldn't say that in your chat, but line members are stupid. Like you can't just rely on them.
I agree to a degree. I mean, I would expand that. Don't rely on them, so you don't have to blame them in the end. Because that's what I hate when FCs then in the end try to blame it on like one guy or so. And it can very
Yeah,
well be that
definitely.
one guy fucking it up
subscribe to
entirely.
Pando?
And it's so easy.
That's
And I've done it
so
before. I think
hot.
every FC has done it before. Saying like, oh,
Right.
dude,
I've done that
come
before
on.
too.
But in
Like,
the
come on,
end,
why you do this? Why you do that?
yeah, but in
Because
the
I
end,
didn't tell them to.
yeah, in the end, it's the FC's fault though. You have to see it always like that. I feel like always the FC because like you should have known that dude is not capable. You know what I mean? Like you should know your guys. You should know this guy knows how to bubble a gate. This guy doesn't, for example. You know. So I feel like that's part of the FC's job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much with all this important trades, you can be a very decent FC, right? Someone would say, well, you have to know how to Python. Do you know that? It's a totally different thing than EFT. Tried many years to get used to it, but yeah, you have to learn your math, right? How many people you can break, how many EHP you need to survive,
Yeah.
things like that.
And sometimes it's not Python or EFT numbers. You know what I mean? Sometimes EFT says one thing or Python, and then suddenly when you test it, it's different. Right? There are some different things there, and I'm very much like spending a lot of time in Python stuff, but like the real world experience, it's priceless, right? So yeah, theory versus reality. Yeah. And thanks for the
Yeah.
sub there. Yeah, I feel like it's very important. Yeah.
Which one?
The one, testing it on field and knowing your numbers.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
Like you need to
Sometimes
do your
each
math.
server just disagrees with you. The EU server could be very tricky, just disagrees with you. Eli taught me a lot of this dark magic,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tricks,
You know what?
and
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
go on.
No, I had that yesterday actually. Something should happen a certain way, but it doesn't. Or
Right, I
something
noticed it.
shouldn't happen. That's what happened yesterday actually.
True.
Something shouldn't
Yeah.
happen, but it happened anyway. And a lot of times tie-dye and bushes, they just don't go well together, right?
Right.
And so
As
yesterday,
one time I heard that you can use your space superiority fighters and they ignore ADC on the hacks. So they are essentially the best fighter types to use on, I mean, against the Mutant Fleet or Xenon Fleet.
oh my
Maybe
god,
a few days later, you're gonna tell me, well, CCP patched that. Okay. Sneaky patch that. It never mentioned on patch notes. And just sneaky patch this bug or whatever.
oh, yeah. That's one of those bugs, you know, that can, you know, completely murder your fleet. You don't even know it. Hard to read out of that. But what happened also yesterday is, like, I had these few bombers and stuff, and we tested a couple of things. And one of the things was a bomb run based on, so you position a dictator first, a commander destroyer first, cloak it up, align it towards, for example, your mutants, and then we warp in the bombers at 30 and try to time the MJD. So you don't really have time to react, especially in tie-dye. Your ADCs aren't going to go off in time.
Right.
And so we tried that, but the cloak wouldn't deactivate, so the timing was off, right? So it's very hard to time it in tie-dye, and you want it to be well timed. Otherwise, you had 100 from units and eagles, you're gonna die. That's what happened to the first bomb run anyway. You try to do it like old school Stuka style. In tie-dye, it's just not happening. They can lock you so quick.
Yeah. Take some of
And
our members maybe 4 minutes to log in to load the grid.
and so we tried that cloaky thingy, and the timing was off, and the bombs they appeared to just explode on the ping before they got MG'd. And we shouldn't have killed anything. But then suddenly some Logi males showed up. So apparently they got MG'd. And we killed like a bunch of, what's it called?
Hacks,
Buzzies?
dummies.
No,
That's okay.
Buzzies. Like we shouldn't even be able to kill Buzzies in the first place. But it kinda worked out, I guess. It was weird. But yeah. Bushes and tie-dye. Not a good mix.
Bombs and titles also tricky.
Yeah. And the thing is, bombs cause more tie-dye.
Ah, those dummies and sentries. I hate those people. Basically, um, PanFan was like, okay, so the dummy fleet should be used as a bait, and if Goonswarm engage them, we drop on top of those Tengus. Sorry, on your Lokis and Goonswarm hacks. I was like, okay.
The domies, like, I should have maybe focused on them. They came in first and killed that drones and shit. Instead of wasting time. Just,
If you bomb those drones, do us all of us a favor, right?
say that again?
If you bomb those sentries, do us all of us a favor.
Yeah. So, like in the introduction, I don't know, like you started on Serenity though, didn't you? Like,
I played only 3 months when I was on vacation in China, so I was not really a leader or an EFC of any kind
oh, so
on Serenity.
you don't live in China?
No,
Ah,
no.
that explains it. Because I think like most Chinese players, obviously they have to start on Serenity, right? They're not going and starting on Tranquility.
That's a wild assumption. A lot of people have that. I had to crack them over and over. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you would start at least to play the game on the Chinese server because you don't know the difference, correct? Like if you
Most
weren't,
people do.
hmm?
Most people do, and but I started on TQ and then went back to China. Had some fun 3 months ish in Serenity, and went back out. Never come back again.
Is it so different though? It's very vastly
It's
different.
not. It's
Eh?
not. It was 2000, I think 2013. It was not that different. The server wasn't completely dead by then. There's still PvP, different alliances, blocks, level, and all that. Yeah.
Oh well, I've never been on the Chinese server. And now it's completely dead because everyone went over, yeah.
Yeah, they don't get a resubscription. Basically, some NetEase took over the game, but it's not sanctioned by the government, so they're still waiting for the license to do that.
Oh, that's the first time I heard about that. No idea. But yeah.
Yeah.
But then obviously in that time there, you didn't do like much leading fleets or anything, or did you like
No, no.
just
I
casually?
remember some. Yeah, I didn't. Just a casual F1 player. I remember some pizza guys, right? So and they were from TQ, and they thought it would be fun to just invade the Serenity because they assume that people there don't know about mechanics, right? They don't know the metas or at all. They formed a corp. I forgot the name. Something like the Wad O's Asper or something, right?
When I'm in
And those
space?
pizza guys. Yeah, well, they were five 5 mil skill point,
Yeah, and they were all
and
named the
they
same. Wait a second. They were all named the same?
yeah.
Yeah, that's when I'm in space. Yeah, that's like a notorious multi-boxing like input broadcaster. It's not allowed anymore, so not around much. But
Right, Xboxer, right? Yeah.
and then what? Like so they came over and then what?
They came over, made a phenomenal for maybe about 2 months, and they just left. Thought it's uh, maybe they just lost interest or something.
It probably wasn't as easy as they expected, huh?
No, not at all. Because if you think about the time zone, and if you think about the latency, if you have to play outside of China, about the same problem the mainland Chinese people have right now logging into TQ. Right? It's pretty laggy and unstable.
Oh. I mean, China is like a massive country. Probably have like time zone difference. What's the biggest time zone difference in China?
No, they use a single time zone
Oh, they use one time zone
for
for
all
all.
of country. Yes. Uh huh.
That's crazy too. It's like I
Think
don't like
about it.
time zones, but come on, that's crazy too. But it should be like at least 6, 7 hours, right?
4 hours, I think, geographically.
Hmm.
4 hours difference.
But it's still a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
China's only yeah.
But I know one very prominent Sony FCs who came here on TQ, and he does just equally successful with his C-Lot doctrine.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
still working.
the zealots now got a little bit of a buff, right? The beams and stuff.
Uh, it's very tiny buff about the
Yeah.
DPS, I think. The
But
alpha.
then also Munoz got a little bit nerfed. And zealots.
It's working because the T3 hack, sorry, the hack sick bonus is still there, and the E war is still very strong. But until it meets a bunch of mutants and get completely wrecked by the meta, right? It works great against fighters and things like that.
Yeah, and I think people like zealots just because it's lasers and stuff like this. It's easy to get numbers in fleet for like something new or something a little bit more fun than just
Doesn't it
mutants.
look good? It looks great if
It
you
looks
fire
good, yeah,
your lasers together.
definitely. But so you weren't FC in on Serenity, so my question would have been like, what's the difference there, FC wise? I don't know. Maybe you do have a take on it, even though you didn't FC there. Like, is there like a big difference in the meta and stuff like this?
Right. Well, I don't know if I can answer that question, but if you ask me the patterns, right, that seems to be repeated from Serenity to TQ, and I probably know the answer. But as for the FC perspective, mechanic wise, I don't think there's much difference. You know?
I mean, the only difference I would point out probably is like everyone's in the same time zone, which is probably gonna be a little bit different. Other than that, yeah,
Yeah,
probably not that different at all, huh?
that was in the time of SBU, right? Do you remember that? You certainly do, right?
Yeah, the
And
SBU.
the alliances who had some foreign players, like the foreign students who lives in other country that still play on Serenity, right?
Oh,
And
alright.
whoever has the most of those people, they change the solve windows into a very weird 3 a.m. China time. Let's just let you to green it out.
Um, I can imagine. So you said, what do you say? Did you say like the patterns? Like, do you recognize like is tranquility slowly becoming serenity? Is that what it looks like?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Exactly the same?
Titan dominance, dude.
Come on, I wanted to hear something else, please.
Uh, it's you can't blame me for that because CCP designed the game. The only
Yeah.
two things you need to worry about to win, right? One thing, have enough Titan. Two things, the ability to effectively command this Titan and people, which is heavily rely on your IT structures. That's why Goonswarm is so powerful. We checked their structures. I have a very good IT, and I asked the team, my IT team, to investigate what Goonswarm does, and they told me, well, Goonswarm basically at this level they must be investing at an entrepreneur level per year. I don't know where they get the money from. Maybe just somewhere kids.
Oh, really? Is it a money thing, you think?
It's the structure, the IT structures, but you can't get away with the money. Someone has to be donating all.
Well, they have a lot of people, so I guess a lot of people chip in. I don't know. I'm not
That
aware of
makes
any
sense,
of
yeah.
that. But then also, where's the line? Like, it's risky to do that stuff. Like, I was banned before for nothing, so like now you have people chipping in, like giving money for what? For like an IT structure, stuff like this. So it's like they're probably gonna get into fishy areas very quickly with it too. So you probably don't want it to be like a ton of people being involved in shit like this. Like it can be like misinterpreted and all that stuff, right?
Well, it has nothing to do with in-game currency or in-game items. You only pay
I
for the
know.
server.
I know that's not gonna stop them from banning you though. Trust me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm a
Exposed,
convicted
but no.
RMT lord. What are you talking about, man?
Say that. Say again.
Better not repeat that on your stream. I don't want to get banned by CCP again.
Oh,
Let's ignore that part.
you got banned falsely too.
Like, come on, yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, there was something actually. Oh my god. Yeah,
Right,
that's one
right.
thing we've got in common then. Like I wish I wouldn't, but
No, you got unbanned. I'm on my live ban as well. That's
oh
different. Okay.
wait, so you're still banned?
Yeah, yes I am.
Oh my god. Well, let's not dig into that because I feel like like I don't want to be banned at the end of this year. Uh,
Nope.
ugh.
Let's move on. Yeah,
Alright.
so basically Titan dominance, right? Isn't
Yeah.
it the same to repeat it themselves, right? It in here we have the X47, and in Serenity they have a fighting Hubris for an attack. Basically,
Oh yeah.
after these two gigantic Titan Doomsday battles, the content just dies, dry up gradually.
But how could I stop it? What do you think?
Sorry, what was the question?
Like how could they? What do you think? How could they stop this
Oh,
development?
oh my gosh.
Come on,
Uh,
fix Eve Noraus.
Since we please don't ban Pando for this. But
What?
in my opinion, they need to kill the blob. I don't like CCP keep advertising Eve as a sandbox or about its big 3,000 people fight or something like that. I was there the promo videos, right? Remember that? It was not a sandbox anymore. It only rewards people who does those two things I mentioned about. So,
So what would you
like,
do?
say you need to pay certain amount of tax if you're storing a Titan in a keep star. Even if it's in your core hangar, you have to pay for that. Even if it's in the construction line, you have to pay for that, right? Otherwise, I don't know. Doomstorm have 1,000, 3,000 Titans in SRP hangar, maybe. He just knows no end, right?
I don't think they have 3,000 titans in the SAP hangar, but
Well, I don't know.
they're prepared to lose a few titans.
Theoretically, it knows no ends, right? And before you have to put a super capital construction. It's in the pause. It's in the post, right? Player on structures,
You
which means
subscribe
you
to
have a hard
Pando?
limits on how many
That's
supers you can
so
do
Yep.
hot.
within one system. Right now, it's just my Sotillo.
Thanks for the sub, Erica.
I'm willing to pay for the manufacturing index tax. Yeah, as long as I'm willing to do that, I can do unlimited amount of supers in one system. That's ridiculous.
I agree. So I never posted it. So I prepared a post about all kinds of stuff, and then also about limitations of citadels. So first of all, limit how many citadels of each kind and size can be in a system, constellation, or region, right? And then it's a little bit more complicated, obviously, but for example, have just 2 keepsters per region, or have only so and so many refineries per system, or have only so and so many production citadels per per constellation or system, stuff like this. And then also, so you would have a limited amount of Sotios, but also Sotios should be limited to, like, you can't just build like 5,000 Titans at once. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, everyone can build there. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And
if you have 2
yeah.
system with the Sotillo, you can basically dodge the index at all because it only counts at the beginning of 30 days. If you put 500 Titans in build at one in July and completely shut down the other system, you put another 500, and the next week in another system, you also get 0 tax on that.
That's ridiculous. That's, yeah. I mean, so people hate on rockers and stuff, and I think rockers, you know, they were too strong to be like at the beginning, and they provided obviously the necessary material and shit. But at the same time, it's the Satios and the whole infrastructure part of things that made building all these supers and titans possible on this level. It made it so easy. You know, that's the real problem right there. Yeah, and it's so hard to, like, think about it. Back in the day, you would have to build it in a pause. Then to take over the super and titan, people had to warp in a pod and take it over and all that stuff. It's like way more complicated. And then also that pause had one timer, one strong timer, and in some cases it didn't even have that because people fucked up. If you fuck up, you can just lose your super titan that's in build right now to a fleet that just kills your pause. In theory, you need a way more DPS to kill that pause because you don't want to sit there for 2 hours straight. But that kind of made it interesting too. So yeah, it's a very different way of building titans now. And that, you can see that. Yeah. And then also, I think you had a good point with like the Titan tax. If you store your Titan, you need to pay a tax. I think that's a great idea. I thought about a similar thing with like Titans and Supers having requirements to be maintained, right? So you have to bring them in for maintenance every now and then or whatever, and that costs a bit. And if you don't bring them in, they don't die, but you lose some bonuses or whatever, or resists and stuff like this, so they get weaker and weaker.
Well,
It's way more
let's just remove
complicated.
single target DD at this point.
Say what? Remove the target DD? Oh, you think
Well,
the
he's
target
already.
DD is the main problem? I think the
Well,
EHP is the main problem, to be quite honest. They just don't die quick enough. Let them kill each other with target DDs, like who cares? You know?
maybe, yeah. But it's too just oppressive for dreads, you know? Dreads are useless. 2019 dreads are useless because of those DDs. It's hard. What do you think about the anti-capital bumpers? Would that help with the super cap lock?
Well, I don't know. Like, we have to have the details, right? How fast do these bombs travel? How much EHP do they have? That's the key factor, I feel like. Like, if they travel for 5 minutes straight, by the time, like, even a Titan is just gonna dodge it, you know? So, can you hit with them? Can they be killed? And if so, how easy can they be killed? Like, all that stuff. So the heavy bombers, I just hope they do something cool with it. But we'll see. You know, I talked about it before that I'm gonna try to like MJD bombs onto targets because they're gonna probably give them not enough EHP, so the bombs can be killed by smart bombs and stuff like this.
Right.
And then, but also you have
mentioned
to spread them out far enough so you can only bring in like 5 bombs at once, probably, like around the 5, maybe 6, if you're lucky 7, with one MJD. Which is fine, I guess, depending on the DPS they do. Right? So we don't have any of the numbers, so it's very hard to predict, I think, if that's gonna be good or bad or nothing in between. Right? Yeah.
Okay, let's just pray CSP doesn't do something dumb this time.
That they what?
Don't do something dumb this time. Which
I
usually
mean,
happens, yeah.
hey,
Unfortunately, usually happens.
I can tell you what, that's my prediction. CCP is gonna do something dumb at some point. But
Wild consumption.
yeah. But let's just hope they do like 10 good things before that. Because I think they should be doing stuff that has the potential for you to, you know, fuck up and then end up being something dumb. But that also means there might be possibility to bring real good stuff into the game.
Oh yeah, we're still hoping. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just win Eve? Right? A lot of people do.
Yeah. And about my main concern, I mean, we talked about it with Blazing Bunny and Doom Bunny. I'm not sure if you guys, if you know them, but
I watched the last episode. Yeah, I did.
yeah. So we talked about like what's the main issue, and I agree still. It's the content creation part. So we need more opportunities for FCs to go out and create content, not just the Titan kind of content. You know what I mean? If there was more opportunity, you would see less of the big or more of the smaller fights. But at the moment, what are you doing with, like, if you have 20, 30 dudes and you want to go roam, you don't do that anymore. But what would you do? What would your best bet be? What do you think?
Well, if I have only 30 views, I'd just go blobs. Maybe that's the best chance.
Yeah, but I mean, we're back to wasting people's time, in my opinion, because you're gonna be sitting on blobs, hunters are zooming around, and you're not gonna get lucky every day. You know?
Yeah.
So, like,
I remember someone, is that Blazing Bunny suggested that like instance fleet PvP? I remember someone said we already have Track Levy and the Imbecile PvP. There's only one-on-one solo. Why don't we have a team solo PvP? Well, okay.
I don't know. You know, I suggested a new play experience as an instant or an extended new play experience, I should say. as instant, but like instanced. But I think for fleet PvP, please don't, because that takes so much out of the game. I already don't like not every FC likes the
Arranged fight you're talking about?
arranged fights, exactly. I don't like that shit. I don't do it.
It's dumb. You just
Yeah,
simply dumb.
you know, it waters it down. Like we might as well just like it's like one-on-one in the sun. Yeah, I get it. You know, if it's funny and it's part of the story, it is a one-on-one in the sun. There's something to it. But to then say like, oh yeah, let's meet tomorrow at this time, you bring 100, I bring 100, it's just, you know, nobody likes to get blobbed, but I'd rather get blobbed and, you know, that has more to it than just like an arranged fight on the sun or something. It's just not my thing. And I think the instanced PvP part, that would just be like alliance tournament style. You know what I mean? And then you're gonna have like very specialized groups. Let's say 10 groups that can do it, that are really good at it, that do it 24/7. And the other guys, they come in and they get their fucking ass beat every single time. It's not gonna be very fun for them. And then what? All these other groups, the guys that are in the instanced PvP, then they're not out roaming, creating content. They're just queuing up and then fighting each other, but it's pointless. Like, for what? You know, you can't catch them off guard, you can't block them, which, you know, people might disagree with, but that's very much a part of the game. You know, you can outplay them with numbers too. You know, you can catch them and then catch them with their pants off, and you know, it makes it interesting for them too. So I think instance PvP for fleets, that wouldn't be good.
I don't know, it just sounds too real for me to think about it. Maybe like a ranked, a ranked team PvP stuff might be good.
Yeah, nah. You know what? I
Well,
don't.
I believe CCP is so they need to hire more people. They've been constantly losing
They need
their
to clone
development
Rise.
guys to other.
So you say that again. They need to hire more people, and then what?
Right, and maybe like bring some fresh blood from other gaming companies instead of losing talents to other companies, right? Because that's what we're seeing for the last few years. It's pretty sad.
I think they tried. It's probably very hard to get good people. It's not easy. I mean, there's a lot of competition there. It's not easy to get good people, and then for an old MOT, I mean, um, it's old. It's probably the oldest. All the MMOs. So
Yeah, I agree.
if I was a good dev, like I have some real talent and like I'm really good at it, and my name is out there, I'm not sure if I would join an old MMO. I would join something new, and I think they're doing something new. Probably Project Nova kind of thing. I don't know. So if you would join CCP, you would join it for something new and not join that old game and try to improve on it. I think the best area where they can look for good talent that is willing to put in like some real effort is within the game. Probably what it is. That's why like Rise is there, so he's doing a good job. Not always. Sometimes he disappoints.
You
But
mean out of the former player base?
yeah, out of the current player base too.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good step they allow the developed people to like publicly play the game, right? I think it's a
Yeah,
huge improvement.
it's a good step, definitely. But like then you have to ask the question, like so CCP employee 123 is joining Fraternity, right?
Oh, I mean,
He or she is
yeah,
just gonna join as a oh no. Are you thinking now they're trying to catch you or something? I don't think that's what's happening. They might though.
right.
But
Like the T2BPO scandal basically stopped them buying their feet for many years, and still,
yeah, I mean there's gonna be some dev is gonna fuck up. They're human beings. Someone's gonna fuck up. But at this point, like, we have to live with that. Like, whatever he's doing or she's doing, it is what it is. But what I was trying to say is, like, so CCP employee 123 is joining your alliance. But it's only one thing to be line member 123. Or are they ever gonna aim to be an FC, for example? Be like what it's like to have the responsibility to actually create that content. The very content that keeps their game alive, in my opinion. Is there gonna be any dev that tries to FC? And is there any dev that's gonna succeed? I don't see that happening, to be quite honest.
In general, they're not so very good at the game. They're
Yeah,
really
exactly.
disconnected for so long.
So they're gonna see one very limited side of the nullsec, a blob, like perspective. They're not gonna go very deep. They can't have any leadership positions, which is a big part of the game too. For a lot of people, that's
why
their
you have
content.
CSM for, right?
Yeah, but are they listening enough to the CSM? And how many FCs are on the CSM? I think there's Vily on there.
Yeah.
So Vily is on there. That's basically it, isn't it?
Right. You're right.
So, you know, and then Vily. I don't hate the guy or anything, but he is himself. You know what I mean? Like
You subscribe to Panda?
he's not the most
That's so
open-minded. Discussion-wise, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. That sounds bad.
Right. Willy's here.
Vily is a good dude. Like, I'm not saying Vily is a bad guy. I'm saying, like, he has his opinion, and then who's gonna be there to challenge that on the CSM? So he's not gonna be listening to Aerith on FC matters. You know what I mean? If Vily says FC thing is ABC, there's not gonna anyone on the CSM is gonna step in and say, like, actually, I think you're talking shit, and this is actually how it is. I think he has, like, and then he has his opinion, and it's gonna be that, like, there's nobody there, there's no discussion going on or anything. Like, none of the CSM or CCP guys can then change his mind, I believe. Thanks for the sub, Hoffman.
Well, maybe next year we're sending you and to CCP allows. There will be actually some competition going on in CSM here.
Yeah, Vily, is that actually Vily's Vily's
I think so.
Twitch
That's his Titan account.
Vily, you want to come on? defend your honor. I hope I didn't fucking insult you too much here. That wasn't my goal.
Willy changed that Citadel spam for me. That I would be appreciated, Willy. Thank you.
He did what?
Right, so CCP doesn't allow a small or like a medium structure anchored in the hostile system with the ADM of 4.0 above, right? And after I heard about this change, I immediately went for my CSM, which is Vily at this point, and asked him, well, did you advocate for this change? And he was like, yes, we found it's very broken during the war, so we decided to patch it out.
Oh, did they use it a lot?
Oh, wow, dude. 250 Citadels in the torrent, man.
See, I think, should we get Vily on here? Vily, if you want to join, you can just hop on the Discord, and I'll give you rights, and then you can just join the channel. Where were we? Wait a second. CSM and the CCP's perspective and stuff is going to be very limited. I mean,
what else do you think they can put? There's no other channels for them to actually listening and monitoring the changes, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a better perspective now than it was before. It's not going to be the game changer some people think it is, though. That's all I'm saying, probably. Well, you already got the rights. Someone already gave it to you. So if you want to jump in, Vily, you can do that. Unless
Oh, come in.
unless Noraus wants doesn't want him.
No,
There he
no,
is.
no. Dude, come on.
Hey, what's up? And for those, maybe I should introduce you quickly. Vily is, I think, with PGL together, the leader of test, maybe a little bit more, because I think Pro God Legend is not as active. Unless it's about gambling,
Yeah,
then he is
eating
very active
gas.
suddenly.
He was eating gas today. Yeah.
But yeah, so Vily, leader of test, rider of dinosaurs. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Just listening to a good show.
All right.
You and my buddy Norris, having a good time.
Hey, I haven't heard you for a while, Vily. Where you been?
Taking a break. When I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning to deal with your bullshit, it's a pleasant little vacation.
Okay, you can have that. That's your. You deserved it.
I know.
Where earned.
That's how it go. That's how it goes.
Sorry if my mic activates a little bit too easy. Wait, so in that war, Fraternity and Legacy, you weren't that active either, right? You always you gave most of the FC into his name again? What?
Zeto?
Seto.
Zeto,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not really. I mean, Seto did a lot of the what the 0530 Eve time slot stuff, but
Oh,
say I wasn't there. I was pretty much there for every major battle aside from the like 2 a.m. my time stuff.
Right. Every time Tess is about to fuck up, we can always see Willie did something weird. And Yon and I were like, okay, he went up.
But so the CSM thing that I just said, like, would you say it's a little bit, it's a fair assessment that, when it comes to FC stuff, you're basically the only guy there?
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is you kind of make the assumption that nobody challenges anything when it's quite
Well,
the
they
opposite. Where
challenge you
everyone
all the
challenges
time, I'm
everything,
sure.
whether they know or not, right? Like I had people recently challenging a, statements I made on Citadel mechanics, and obviously, as you can see by the recent patch change, there's been some changes, and who knows if there's more or not. But let's say there's people challenging what I say and how the Citadel's operate in war, who didn't even understand the way the timers worked, right? But they're writing long challenges of this doesn't work this way, you shouldn't do this, and they don't even understand the mechanics, right? So you're always in a position where you have to defend what you're saying.
Yeah, and what I try to explain, I know you've got like strong opinions, and you can get quite heated in an argument. Right? I think you wouldn't
Sure.
deny
Yeah.
that. And I feel like with just you as the only FC on there, it's very hard to challenge it at least. I'm sure some people will like ask questions and stuff like this, but
No,
like,
you're dead on.
yeah.
But maybe it's been good that way. Like, unfortunately, if you have somebody pushing in one direction and there isn't a back and forth kind of challenging, where, how do I put this? The CSM doesn't have a, what do you call it? Used to have a board leader or whatever it is, but at least
Oh, one
if
of the
you have,
CSM was leading.
say again,
It's
sorry.
like an organizer for the meetings, I guess.
The CSM used to have, like, up until like 10 or 11, 12, they used to have like the person with the highest votes was like the board chairman or some bullshit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but at least you had somebody pushing the direction in one way or another. And I think maybe some of the, I don't want to say dysfunctionality, because I know a lot of people that have been in the previous CM systems now, and I know how much they've struggled to get things through. But the back and forth nature of one group arguing with another group, uh, I think can be counterproductive when you're in a room with people who are looking for guidance, and versus if you at least get everybody on the same page, and then one person says let's do this, and nobody's really in a position to challenge that, and there's not a giant amount of dissent, and then it creates a, like, okay, maybe we can get behind this person's idea.
Yeah, so
Wow. Did you just describe how legacy works?
No, that's not how legacy works. Legacy.
Okay.
Well,
I see your point though. So if you so you have, let's say, 90% of the FC opinion is you, so you have that power behind you, right? Let's just say it like this. So
yeah,
you
sure.
get more shit done. But I would argue it can also, like, it can be positive. I think in your case you're capable FC, and I'm happy you're on the CSM to, you know, have that point of view. And I always say it's always best to, in any game or anything really, it's better to follow some plan, even if it's not 100% what I would like to see. It's better to follow
Some plan is better than no plan.
yeah, than no plan at all, and that's true. But at the same time, you can also see it as like now there's like the FC point of view dictator. You know, you're dictating the point of view of FCs,
100%.
and it might work
You
for
have
this
more
time.
FCs.
It might work. So what I'm trying to go to is like this time it might work, right? Because you're capable of C and stuff like this. But the CSM, that's a popularity contest, really. And so the next guy, he might just call himself the FC guy, but he might not be capable, or he might not know much, and then suddenly pushes the wrong things. Right? It's like a dictator in a country, right? You might just get away with it for a long time, but then his son gets the
No,
power.
I don't disagree, and that's, you know,
Yeah.
maybe I'm the, what do you call it, the fucking chosen one, the Lord of the Rings guy.
Yeah, you're the chosen one, Vily.
You know.
Yeah.
Next year, let's focus on
you know,
getting
I'm
to the
talking.
chair.
But
Okay, I don't think
there's been, you know,
Sorry.
CSM's a lot of like let a lot of like terrible fucking shit get through, and
oh
you know it's you know
Talk.
maybe that singular strong voice is what was needed. I don't know, but certainly we've pushed CCP into a better position so that they're in a position to take our feedback and utilize it a little better. I don't know what the perfect answer is. I don't know how much of the success this CSM has had is based on me or the timing or what, but certainly we're making progress at a pace that is, I don't want to say unprecedented, but it's very, very good. And I like the way we're going, and hopefully there'll be more good stuff to come.
But
I
talk.
agree. Like this term, CSM has done a lot more than the last one. I agree with that. But I just don't think we have put enough effort. The line members, the voters, put enough effort to put the correct people in. Right? We always get someone. The alliance leaders tell us, "Oh, this is your voting ballot." Right?
Well,
Maybe
I
follow
mean,
that.
when you look at it, you have usually the leaders like, well, Test, for example, last year we were going to put Creature on, who's one of our Super Cap FCs, and he was a decent guy. But Creature had gotten mad at somebody in a safe spot and called him an N-word, and that meant the Creature's run was over, and we found it halfway through. So we didn't get a chance to replace him last year.
Well, the timing
And
was suspiciously on point.
yes, the timing was
Yeah.
suspiciously on
I
point.
think he
remember
got
that one.
metagamed out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But suffice to say, you know, there's not a whole lot of spots that are really per se open. You know, goons are always, you know, in the current mechanics are probably always going to have pretty much 3 guaranteed spots. High sec has usually got 1 spot.
You always will get 2.
Normal. What's it?
You guys will always get 2, right?
Well, we got this is the first time we've ever had even 1, so saying we'll always have 2 seems
Yeah,
crazy,
unless
but
you
as long
get.
as we're organized, we should be able to get.
Yeah,
Right.
just number based. But that's how the CSM voting works. Because
Right.
even if your number 1 candidate gets voted, the votes still trickle down, and that's the problem.
Right.
So it's so easy for big groups to make like 100% efficient use of all the votes you have.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
trickle down
result.
system is
That should
not
trickle
the
down
best,
if
in
you.
my opinion.
Yeah, it should trickle down if your candidate is not getting elected. Then it should trickle down to the next guy. But if it's getting elected, you should be happy. Your number 1 candidate is on there. Boom, done. Next. And not just, well, we only need
Well, we actually
50,000
came.
votes.
We actually came like 500 or 600 votes away from getting all 3 of our candidates on, and that was kind of our original goal when we realized, you know, how weak
And
the
you see
voting
the
was
problem
last
there.
year.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
actually
you should only
voted.
have 5 people. I mean, 5 candidates can be elected through the system, and the other 5 through maybe other means. And all.
Yeah, we actually voted for special candidates. Like Stitch Caneland was like a small scaler, and then Exuki. And I'm glad, like Exuki just made it on, I think, just barely. It was a close one. We put actually Doug Dinkle on like lower rank. Like obviously there wouldn't be any votes trickling down, but because he supported us when the whole ban shit show happened. So yeah.
I feel they don't advertise them enough. I barely know like maybe 30% of the CSN shit.
Well, the thing is, if the im- if the fraternity votes would have went to Elo would have certainly gotten on,
Yeah.
and that would have knocked out who was 10th. Uh, can't remember
Well,
now
did
actually.
I talked to Elo about it? I forgot what he said though. Did he
I think
actually
since V
want
doesn't
to go into? I think that was just
yeah.
trolling now. Did he
Oh
actually?
no,
Oh no,
yeah,
actually
he
he
put in his
said,
app.
yeah,
He did all the work. He just CCP's like, yeah, you. I don't know exactly what happened, but I assume it's like you've got too many bans or something similar, and they're like,
exactly. There was something in the way. At the time, I was like, his whole take on it was like against botting and stuff. And
yeah, that's right. Steve was 10th, so Steve, the high sec candidate, would have been when pushed out, which is unfortunate because it's not ideal. Like I've heard multiple people talk about like how there should be specific slots allocated to different groups, and my viewpoint is slowly kind of altered, I guess you could say, over the that. Like I used to think, oh, that's a terrible idea, but now I'm a little more into the zone where I would love if there was like one wormhole spot guaranteed, a low sec and a no and a high sec spot kind of guaranteed, and then 7 other spots where you like just to ensure that you get those at minimum, like at the bare minimum.
yeah, yeah. I mean, all the big groups, you just stop doing this politics shit, and CCP has to change the whole trickle down bullshit. I mean, that's what you have to do, really. Like, if they change that, it will change a lot, I think. And then people have to be worried about, like, can we actually get 3 on? Let's go with 2 to be sure.
Yeah,
And then,
if
you
the
have
voting
like a
system was
slot
different
empty.
when I ran for CSM2, I'm pretty sure I actually would have got on this on trickle down voting, which is kind of funny.
Oh yeah, yeah. They changed that to the system like how many years ago? Like a couple years ago, actually.
CSM 7 or 8, I think, is around when they changed it. Actually, it might have been even later than that. I'm not.
Yeah, I would say it's horrible, but I don't know. Let's hope they change it at some point. I think they have to admit there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, you
Yeah.
made the comment. I'm closed mind. I don't know if I actually am. I definitely have opinions, and
Nah,
they're definitely strong opinions. But
it was hard for me to find the right words.
yeah, and then saying the stuff, it's like someone's like, she's in chat. He's like, oh, he's open minded. He's open minded.
Who said it? Like someone in chat? Your buddy
Well,
Ron.
no, you
Probably.
were like, he's closed minded. He's this and that. Somebody's like in chat. He's like, he's there, and you're like, oh yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's open minded. He's all cool.
That's not what I was trying to like. I was trying to communicate the right point, but like how am I supposed to say it? Like close-minded? No, like
He has his opinion. Like
yeah, exactly. You have
it's fair.
strong opinions, and you
Like listen,
you can
I've
get
got
heated in an argument. Like
yeah.
I didn't want to
I
say
mean, I've got
close-minded.
more. I'm the what is it? Longest running or whatever you want to call it. Block FC in the game, right? Like I've been through it all. I've seen all of these wheels turn over and over now, and it's certainly I have opinions that are not going to be easily changed. There's no doubt about that, but it's usually I like to think I have a pretty good view on the way things are need to be, and I know you're definitely not a fan of the boost changes, but I can tell you those definitely weren't the way I wanted those to happen. But for sure, it's there was definitely some you know piece that needed to be put in place there, and I don't know exactly what the correct answer was.
Well,
So, what's the
there was
directions you're currently working on after the boost changes, after all this? Like, do you have
well
an agenda?
I don't know, like I'm not a wizard, you know. So like
I
a
mean,
lot of
Willie,
people.
you?
Sorry, say again.
I mean, do you have something in mind that you want to push through the CSM?
I can say yes. There are at least I don't know. When I started the CSN, I put out a list of like 100+ changes or something. Like after I got elected, I was like, and I think I've gotten like 30 of them or something in, and just another big pile of them that I
You
had
know,
just on my like throw together list. But certainly, like definitely say Super and Titan balance is something that is on the radar for me. Like
Okay, thank you.
there's no doubt like a lot of what you guys have said has been correct here. Like
come on,
to me,
change sirens.
well, I don't know if you were there, but I remember we had the like an FC conference in Sorts Discord there, like a year and a half,
I was,
and
yeah, the blue
like
donuts.
the number one thing everyone came together on, like the number one change everyone agreed to was, Dromy Siren should be one tube, like on super carriers. It would just be the easiest, most effective, simple nerf I could ever imagine. And like I just remember there was like pure unity among every FC in the game that was a perfect change. Um, so
Alright, I can confirm that. That's true.
well, it's just that part of what breaks Sirens and Drummy so much is that you get both of them on a super carrier. So a super carrier becomes able to point and web whatever it's shooting at, so like there's definitely issues with that. Um, the super carrier long range fighters track like fucking frigates for some reason. Um, the heavy bombers, maybe the missiles do a little too much damage, but they're probably actually balanced. The like torp bomber one.
Yeah, I don't think they're too
Um,
bad. Yeah.
uh, the but the long range ones, like the tracking is just so fucking insane. It's crazy. Um, obviously the EHP numbers could be looked at once if we can ever get fucking shield saves, and don't get me started on that one. Uh,
Well,
but
I think shield slaves are like one of the least problems we have. Right?
well,
Well, you don't tell that to Willie.
I know, I
okay,
know.
I got told 3 years ago, oh yeah, like we're putting shield slaves in soon. Okay, I'll start building the shield supercap fleet. Guess what happens next? No shield slaves for years and years and years, and then I finally have the fleet. Still no shield slaves. It's like, come on, boys, what the fuck?
Well, you didn't just start building the the shield supercap fleet because of shield slaves, because they
To be
promised.
fair, I did. Like
Yeah.
it like when they put that thing out, I expected it would take a year, maybe two, but I figured at the time we had like 10 fucking shield supers, so it wasn't like whatever. But it was one of those long term like shield saves will come in and then we'll be equal to armor supers and then we'll be rocking the boat. And because shield supers are better in some situations than armor supers, but if
Definitely.
you have shield slaves, then they're really better in that those kind of niche situations. So it really allows you to take advantage of it. But the
I
thing is
mean,
that armor supers in general are just stronger in the how do I put it, the kind of everyday situations a lot of the time.
your shield supers or shield titans played a big role in X47 for us because you
Oh yeah,
had Explo at Doomsdays.
Yeah. Not everyone
yeah.
does that to do kind of Titan fleets.
Yeah, and then we could tank EM Thermal, while they couldn't, because you guys were there in Shield Supers and Titans. Like, they can't just, gimp their fits to EM Thermal. Have to tank
Yep.
Explore too. Yeah.
Which is
Um,
huge, obviously.
Exactly. We didn't lose a single Titan from in it, because we just completely tanked EM Thermal. And
Well, and on top of that, like the shield titans and supers have the
deal damage.
significant larger buffer, and at the same time they also allow you to have shield facts in mass, which I think we saved at least one, maybe two of the Imperium Titans that were getting Doomsday volleyed on shield. I think
Oh, yeah.
so.
Yeah, Shield is great.
There's a variety of like almost all of the main advantages of shield super caps are in like large fleet situations,
I
and
think.
I think. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to say, I think you were the first guys So the discussion was always like shield supers and titans, they're too weak, the hardeners are getting turned off by newts and stuff. But a lot of people didn't think about like the facts giving cap. You're never gonna cap that stuff out.
It's
You're never gonna
greater.
work
It's
against it.
greater.
Well,
Shell is just stronger if you
like
prepare
long
well.
before anybody ever tested it, like, you know, this is one of those EFT versus reality kind of things where, like, we did the math and like a single Concord cap transfer, which is what we used in everything back then, because we were still in the area where every super used to have double Concord capacitor transfers, like before the, you know, they redid super carriers. So there was this massive, like insanely massive supply of Concord capital energy transfers, and like the newt to transfer ratio was 18-1. So one capital newt was equal to, or one capital capacitor transfer, Concord one, was equal to 18 capital newts. Like, so if you have 5 faxes, you know, you're out energy transferring like 45 or almost 90 dreads or something ridiculous. So
Yep.
it's insane like how easy it is to keep a shield super's hardeners online if you're surrounded by fax. If you're not, then you're fucking dead. But, you know, one of the big things that most people don't realize is how hard we had to plan in the Battle of ULX to ensure that we weren't in range of newt bursts, because newt bursts will actually absolutely like Shrek a fucking shield super fleet because of the like the capacitor, um, like just like it will just destroy you basically.
What if, say, I jump in a bunch of suicide armor supers with like energy burst and full racks of newts in front of you, like at 0?
Like
Well,
how many?
they will
It really
recover
has
too.
to be like, yeah, it really has to be like the entirety of the fleet, to be honest. Like it's got to be that continual like constant pressure of any energy bursts on top of your super cap fleet that's going to do it. If you have like 20 or 30, like, and like, you know, you're still only shooting at one primary, and that one primary is going to be able to, you know,
Receive
you know,
caps, yeah.
receive
Okay.
capacitor transfer just fine. It's when you have like 200, like, you know, ULX level, there was 200, 300 supers in the fleet. Like 300 energy nuke burst means that a burst, energy nuke burst, if they're going on cycle, is going off every 1 second of real time because they're 5-minute cycles. So it's like, and you know, then you obviously factor in the difficulty in trying to aim the things, which is fucking impossible. And then you're in a situation where it's like it's a little too much. But like
Wait,
40 or
what's
50,
impossible to aim? The new thingies?
the nuke burst. Well, think about it like this. Think about, you have a super cap fleet. The nuke
Well, it's
burst, you
fast.
can definitely aim and hit it, but you can't like. There's so much spread because the blob is such a large, um, spherical grouping. Like, you know, a super cap blob will generally be, you know, 40, 50, 60 kilometer diameter, or not diameter, radius. Like
Radius, I think. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it just becomes like, as it jumps in, it becomes more and more and more and more and more spread out. So, and that makes the nuke burst less and less effective as you get more and more spread out.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that plays a big role in those massive fights. But other than that, I mean,
Well, I mean, they jumped in first, so it made it insanely easy. And we just positioned it like 280.
well,
And
they
we
had
went
to.
in.
They were taken. Like, what are you gonna do?
But they didn't really have to be honest. They could have jumped in like 10 super
Yeah,
carriers, and they could have
that's true.
applied pressure.
But
Like,
then those 10
because
super carriers, they get defanged so quick.
yeah, but there was a ton of different ways they could have done it. We were talking about it for hours before the fight, like all our different like escalation paths and the ways in which we would have to react to different situations. Like, oh, what do we do if they drop, you know, 20 dreads? What do we do if they drop 10 titans at 150? What do we do if this? And, you know, because they had all kinds of options, but they just got lazy and were like, okay, let's just drop every titan super carrier, everything we have at, you know, 290 kilometers or something, like right on the fucking edge of the keeps. Like, they were reacting as if the keepstar still had a doomsday and guns, right? Because that's why you always go at range on a Keepstar. But the Keepstar had no fucking defenses. It was an unanchored Keepstar in ULX. So there was no situation where they needed to give it the range respect that it would normally require. Like,
Yep.
to me, it was just mind-boggling because they could have
That's
literally
weird.
just jumped in at 0, and then it like changed the dynamic 100%. And then they need to, you know, just use short range, you know, 2 or 3 short range
Well,
Titan guns will keep it paused instead of, you know, the long range guns.
wait, what's the thing? It was onlining and you could tether though. So that's the
Right.
the advantage of a keepstar is the tether.
Right, but everybody positions at a Keepstar at range so that you can, you know, be significantly less vulnerable to the guns. That's always right? That's why people go at 250 plus versus 0, because
Yeah, but
if you're really close, then the newts are super effective, and then the missiles don't have the flight time delay, which gives you, it makes the keep star significantly less powerful against capitals. That's why everybody goes.
it's the doomsday, really. I mean, you just don't want to lose 8 faxes every 5 minutes. I think the
Right, but it
guns and
had
all
no
that
doomsday. It
stuff.
had no guns. It had
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly. But the guns that don't matter. But yeah,
No, I was
Yeah,
more so saying that they could have, it would require less fire to keep it paused as it was killed.
yeah.
thinking back, we could just maybe drop a dozen, long range drafts in groups. But at that time, it was 5 different alliances, right? Do you remember that? 5 different alliances like teaming up against
Yeah.
you. So the coordination between the top leaderships are, I would say, more complicated than you have. You just
Well,
need
yeah,
to,
it was a
right,
leadership count. Yeah, it was a leadership council versus a leader, and that
right.
makes all the difference in the world when you're trying to
Coming
win
back to the
decisive.
dictator here, huh?
Well,
But
I,
you
I
just,
mean, it's funny though. Like, I have my own military background, so I'm comfortable with that. But like, like in ULX, I was running the show, and there was a loud shouting match between me and Pro God in the middle of it at one point. But in the end, I made the calls and things worked. But in X47, I think it was Asher's show or Jay's show. We just, we did our part. You have to learn to lead, and you have to learn to, sit down, sit down, shut up, and follow orders at times too, right? If you draw the battle plan, you draw the battle plan. If you don't, like, don't fucking screw up other people's battle plan.
Yeah.
And they had a great one for X47. So it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of independent minds and independent alliances have a lot of good leaders, but in the end, somebody needs to make the call, and you need to kind of go with a plan.
yeah, that's true. Well, nobody was making the battle plan until maybe after 10 minutes after the fight, after we exchanged our first volley of DDs. And the Titan destruction actually caused massive lags at the time. They does like ultimate damage towards the ship surrounded.
Yeah,
Most of
when we
our
jumped
Titans
in,
were
we
DC.
immediately doomsdayed 2 Titans right off, and then the lag
Right.
just like kicked in like level 20. Was
What
that
we
still when
learned,
Titans
like,
had the, like when they exploded, they did damage to everything
Yeah.
AOE? Yeah, that was
that's
nothing.
what we learned. Whoever fires the DD first will have a massive amount advantage. But basically, after 20 minutes, everyone just tends to shut up and let Elo does his thing, organize DDs and such. Back then, there was no plan, right? And Elo was invited midway. There was no FC or any kind of coordinators or any kind of leaders among these alliances. It just shows how, I think, well, disorganized we were at the point.
Well,
It really just better with you, maybe just you and Asher and or Jay.
but it's safe to say there was nobody there with the experience in that group for a fight like that size, because there wasn't a fight like that before, like on Keepstar, like Titan versus Titan. There was
Well, I
at the
mean, you had
time the
Skill
first
You,
time.
who's got a lot of experience. You
A lot of
had
experience doing
Skill
what though?
there. You had Triumvirate. Yeah, well, it's fair. But
Yeah, like no, I'm not trying to shit on Skill You, right? They're also good guys.
no,
They
you're
used
you're
to be
not
at least.
wrong. Like, you had a variety of really good FCs, but not FCs who are used to 2,000 man battle level.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
take
engagements.
that responsibility. Like, so there's like 5 groups, and then like who defines like who's the right guy to make the calls here. So take that
We've
responsibility
learned.
for a fight that's already in motion and probably not the way you like it. And that's tricky. And I remember
Yeah, but it's
the
important to
core
remember the
issue.
most important thing you do with supercaps and supercap battles. The number, like the most important decision that's ever made, is how you position your supers before
Yeah,
you ever jump in. Like, that is without a doubt the most important factor in Shield Supercap fights, or not Shield Supercap, any Supercap fight. How you position, how you array your forces, because you are so immobile once the fight starts. That positional factor is like everything.
yeah, it's
So
critical. I mean, you remember X47? We made like
yes,
bookmarks, like a bookmark grid. I actually made those bookmarks, and every alliance had a certain amount of bookmarks for the numbers and all that stuff, and then where do we
yeah,
place the
we
faxes, and
I
it was
remember when I
very
got told
thought of.
about it, I was like super impressed. I was like, oh, this is a really well laid out like plan, and it was a big contributor to the success of X40, because it was kind of like a if you can picture like a T in your head, along the top of the T, you had all of the Imperium and Legacy alliances like positioning, and on the like the bottom of the T, you had the Pan-Fam forces, and some of them ended up out of range of like half of the battle because they just didn't positionally plan correctly.
Yeah, that's weird. But like chord issues with like other groups, we had that too in like leading up to X47. There was, I wouldn't call it drama or anything, but you have the typical like a little bit of ego clash. Right? There's several FC teams working together, and then at the time, like from init point of view, at the time there wasn't, you know, I forgot what the big issue was, to be honest, but we were trying to push for like a better strategy and stuff like this, and the other guys wanted to just like headshot a Keepstar or whatever, right? It's like it felt like a waste of time at times. And then X47 shortly before that, we actually got them to agree and get a little bit more organized and all that stuff. And a lot of times when you get critical over like someone else's FC team or the FCs, for example, in this case, we got critical about like the way the Imperiums, yeah. So we got a little bit critical and said like, guys, this is not how we can do this and all that stuff. And a lot of times you can see FCs take like an aggressive but defensive position, so they defend themselves like, oh, like you're an idiot, no, you're an idiot, and it can all fall apart right there. Like the core stuff can kill an entire effort for a coalition. That fight could have
100%.
never happened if egos would have been too big and people fight. And then, for example, that's why I gave Asher credit, because I think it was Bliss criticizing Asher for certain things. I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but there was some things that just didn't go well and all that stuff. And Asher didn't go like full-blown ego mode and defend it to the death, but he actually took it in, said, all right, let's adjust and let's sit together and work it out. And so I have to give him the credit there to be approachable, even though we felt like there was some issues that were coming from that side. But yeah, that's interesting. I feel like whenever there's a big fight or like a coalition effort in any way, the core stuff, I struggle with that.
Well, as I said, there was a shouting match in UALX before the fight between me and Progod, so like it's safe to say that like all groups have some of the same.
Yeah, it's stressful. There's all
Well,
that stress
I mean,
and pressure on you, and then some dude comes along.
Like $500,000 worth of like Eve players' assets that are going on the field, right? And you're responsible. So
Yep.
it's one of those things where most people don't realize just how crazy that can feel, especially when in some cases you've worked literally years to get to that point.
I mean, some people like surely have too many assets anyway. Like that Vanquisher guy, right? I had that on the list somewhere.
Yeah, that dude was awesome.
Don't even get me started.
I didn't want to.
Like, there is
but...
no doubt in my mind, in the middle of the Winter War, like him losing those Vanquishers to us was just like massive level, like fucking
free morale.
He jumped his Titan on top of the gate, like on a gate, on top of his Devoter, I think, right? It was like,
well, it was cloaked. It was a cloaked Devoter on the gate, but he jumped on the, he literally signed it onto a gate like where my Hector was camping. So it was like, I was like, yeah. I mean, you can hear my reaction, on those comms, I think, in the recording, and it's just like hilarious.
I think like every alliance has an idiot like that. Just not everyone's idiot has Vanquishers. Like,
I mean,
multiple
he's a sailor in Navy, so he's pretty much have nowhere to spend his money and no time to play except for maybe half month of the year, maybe.
So he's buying it with Plex?
Gosh.
Oh no, is he?
So he's not buying it with Plex then?
Well, you can't say that, but probably Yeah, I think so. For me,
Oh.
right?
Well,
Let's say panel stream.
alright. Let's not get us all banned here. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh my god. But yeah.
But no, the dude is legit. He's
Yeah.
legit.
Alright.
He took his
Yep.
losses in stride. Like that's all you can do.
Right.
But
And
it's
it was
quite,
certainly good that he had those losses for us, so I'm quite happy with it.
it's quite interesting that I can have both of you guys on and you can just, you know, laugh about it. Talk about the story.
Well, the war is over at this point, and like there wasn't a ton of like ill will in the war as much as like you push it up to like level 10 as much as you can during the war, but it's one of those things where you're just especially afterwards. This is a
Yeah, I
game.
think that's already a turn page for me. I don't know about Vily, but it's already over
Yeah,
for
no,
me.
I'm not too worried.
Oh, that's so cute.
Well, as I say, it's a game, right? This is a game.
It is.
And it's
You
a
know,
game
some
that
people are
gets
some
like deeper
fucking
than any
vicious
other
though.
people can imagine. Oh, absolutely.
There's some
Absolutely.
people out there, especially some. I mean, not that many, right? I could maybe name one or two that are just like fucking so vicious, and they would probably show up on your doorstep and stuff like this. So there's some really bad people out there too.
Oh wow, no, gosh, no.
Yeah. I mean,
What really hates are those like people who are empty, so they constantly have a reason to, ask shit towards other people. 'Cause they already have an interest in real life, and that's not good.
you're talking about GigX, right? People say free GigX, and I would like to see him back just for the content, but in the end, that dude went far.
Well, here's the thing about GigX. GigX was great for the people that farmed him, and he was, even as an ally, he was a solid ally. Like he for the most part, um, he, you know, he created lots of opportunity to go save his ass. So lots of good content, even created for his allies to a degree. But the
He wasn't
problem
that
with
bad of an
GigX,
FC though. He was a decent
he was
FC.
an average FC. He was fine. Like he was a lot more charismatic as an FC than he was like tactical skill level as an FC. Like he could do the job well, and like he was willing to put down heavy doctrines and take the chances and win or lose. And the problem with a lot of things is that most people are not necessarily willing to take those 50-50 fights. In some cases they want 60-40 or 70-30 odds, right? But King
True.
X is like, if it's a 40% chance I'll win, I'll take that fight. Fuck it. you know
Yep. We need
you
more of that.
pussies, why you afraid, like, etc etc. And that of course would lead to hilarious whelps, and at the same time it would lead to interesting victory. In the end, he got banned because he got pissed off when somebody like fucking betrayed him and like just killed all his shit, right? Like what Judge did is um pretty rough in terms of the scheme of Eve. But and he made a comment that was like, "He's gonna fucking chop his goddamn hands off." Do many people believe that he was gonna go to his house and chop his hands off? I don't think so.
No,
If,
so wait a second. There's more. So I know where you're going with this, and I used to have the same opinion, saying like, yeah, come on, you have to understand, and I still do understand. If you've been building up this alliance, and then this guy comes along and fucks you over like this, and gives it to your worst enemy, and smiles in your face, you know, then you say weird shit probably. I don't know. I probably wouldn't say this kind of stuff, but like someone who's saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna cut your hands off." I mean, you could lay that out as like that's that's a normal expression of saying that's what we do over here with like
heat of the moment
thieves
kind
or
of
whatever. But so the point was where I changed my opinion was he was warned before for a similar thing where he said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna visit this guy, and we're gonna come over to whatever, some place, I think in Croatia or wherever it was, and we know where he lives, and we're gonna come over and visit him, you know, in a not so nice way. And he got warned for that, because
That's
there
too
was,
much.
yeah, and like, so if you get warned for exactly that, and then to say you're gonna cut someone's hands off, that's a combination like that just goes way too far, you know. And
Well, the thing
yeah,
you're talking about he was warned for isn't one of those like joke things, but like I've heard of people who have like actually went over and had a chat with their buddy, I guess, where it's like,
that's so
yeah,
dumb.
With the judge or
no, not with the judge, like just in general, like Eastern European like kind of areas where there's like the community is small enough that you can generally have like you will know who you're talking to. I guess you could say it'd be the way to.
Oh, that's
Um,
so
okay.
weird.
but like that's the thing though. Like if I'm playing Eve with my neighbor down the street and they betray me, it doesn't matter if I threaten them with physical harm or not. They know that they now have to deal with me um, in a physical world, I guess you could say. So the dynamic is already changed by that proximity. Um, yeah, I'm not. Nobody's gonna defend GigX and say, you know, it's a good thing to say you wanted to do that, but I think everybody could acknowledge the reality of the heat of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's like you put so much time and work into building things, and then for somebody to just pull the carpet out, like I would be furious as well.
yeah.
Would
So
I do that? Probably not, but like I'd like to think so. But then again, I said a bad word on the Meta Show, talking about high when I got mad about something, right? So
how did you?
the way the way people react, when they're angry is not always perfect for sure.
So what do you think? Like, should they have like GigX banned for like a year? That would have been
I
the.
think 5 or 6 months would have been appropriate.
Yeah, I
Maybe
agree.
a year or 2 years max. Well,
Yeah,
I don't think it's
Like
yeah,
to
I
me, like a
agree.
6 month ban, probably 3 month ban would have been more than appropriate. Like that would have been the harshest non lifetime ban anybody'd ever have gotten. But as much as I truly hate to say this, there is some consideration that should be taken into for who he was within the game, right? Like as terrible as I hate saying that, but it makes I do kind of believe it to some degree. GigX
I don't know.
wasn't just random battleship pilot number 22. He was GigX, and he was a kind of important member of the community. And just like there are mitigating circumstances in court, there are mitigating circumstances when these kind of decisions should be made, I think.
So like I disagree though. Like you can't make it dependent on who you are, because then like that's what people.
Well, you say
That's
that, but both you and somebody else were banned, and had you guys both not been, leaders in the initiative, do you think that situation would have happened as it?
no. I think people. I think the only reason CCP looked into this was because they put out a fucking death block about like, oh look at us banning this U.S. politician, and then they were wrong and they had to look it up. That had nothing to do with me or Shines. I think at the time CCP didn't even know who I was or who Shines was. They were like, oh, there's two more guys. There you go. They're banned. Some init guys. I don't think they had any idea, and I don't think that made any difference anyway. I think the only reason why they revisited it, they put out a death block. Look, we banned someone, and they were wrong.
I love how you say that because with your accent it sounds like death blog, but it's like dev blog, and it's like,
Well, it
but
can
it's
be a
kind of like the
death
same
block
thing.
too.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's
Yeah.
it's basically the same thing because it's like, yeah, fuck this guy. He's cheated the system and used his CSM knowledge to sell his Moloch. It's like, oh Jesus.
If, like, no, 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 no. Apparently, he would tell me, and I would tell Shines to then sell the Moloch, and then buy more Titans for it. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. But hey, whatever. I talked about it like a few times.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm done with it. But hey, they apologized. They apologized like several people of them. Even Hilmar apologized. So
ban on your person or on
sorry.
your account.
I say what?
Was the ban on your person or on your
Yeah.
like your
Yeah.
account? Okay.
And my accounts like had issues way after that. Because if you get banned, apparently your accounts, there's like several layers of like, they're just making sure you can't get on forums, you can't get any, like you don't have ESI access or anything, right? So there was
I
like
know.
issues. I couldn't get my thingy code for ages, and I thought, didn't I change the email ages ago and stuff? And then I let these accounts just be
Right. I still have ESI issue. I know. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. And
Anyways,
yeah.
you guys were kind of chatting here, and I just came in to defend my honor. I'll leave you guys to kind of go back to your stuff here. Um, I got some other stuff to do, but
Alright.
anytime.
Alrighty.
Bye,
Hey, thanks for dropping in.
Cheers, bud.
See ya. Yeah, we're approaching the 2 hour mark anyway, but what else did I have on the list though? Huh?
pretty much through the end of the list. Maybe let me check.
So we talked about the Chinese culture, and I always thought it's a little different. So you said earlier though, they're not that different. They're pretty much the same. But I feel like from the outside at least, they're always a little bit more hardcore and more organized, more like, I wouldn't say number based, but it kind of comes across like that. Like, and I'm not talking about fraternity necessarily. I'm talking about, like, for example, the VVE guys we're fighting up there.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
those
so
guys are a
let's
little bit
say-
fishy, but hey.
Yeah, VV and AOM, right? They're pretty much very organized at the leadership level because they got experience. Maybe they've been dominating the other server for a few years now, so they know how to manage like a gigantic block, how to effectively they have the leadership team working, and the whole team kind of migrates from Serenity and continue to work here.
Which
I
is,
think that's the big advantage they have against us. Because I personally don't have such experience. I've been learning through my defeats, right? My evictions. But they kind of just bring out their whole team, and I have to deal with that.
that's actually a unique kind of thing. In general, like Chinese, like these alliances, they already existed, and then like maybe under a different name, obviously. And then they come over to a new server and they start with 0. Like nobody has any skill points and everything. Like you start with nothing basically, but
Yeah.
you already know a lot. So it's like it's so interesting to see
You subscribe to
those guys
Pando?
then work themselves
That's
up
so hot.
to a spot where they can actually compete. And I think like the AOM guys, they're right there now. They can fly Munins and all that stuff, and you see supers and stuff like this. So like they caught up quick.
You subscribe to Pando?
Holy shit! Thanks for
That's
the
so
gifted
hot.
subs, Hoffman, Look Back, Ryzak, William, Uncle Spanky. Thanks for the sub, CPU.
You subscribe to Pando?
You're bitter,
That's so hot.
or you're biter. Yeah, thanks for the support, guys. Like, much appreciated. And I'm sorry still for like last week's, or
You
like actually
subscribe to
this week's,
Pando?
like Tuesday.
That's so hot.
It was just not possible.
Would you have another show like 3 days later or 4 days later?
Yeah,
That's
so
kinda
I'm
intense.
probably gonna do
You
the
subscribe to Pando?
Tuesday one. Yeah,
That's
not intense.
so hot.
I enjoyed sitting down talking. It's like it's
Okay.
actually easy peasy. Unless unless you're sick as fuck.
You
then
subscribe to Pando?
the greatest.
That's so hot.
But yeah, you can see the Chinese. Well, despite what kind of approach they have, that might get into the shady gray areas, they actually grow pretty fast. I think the leadership experience does a lot in this regard.
Yeah, I think it shows that it's not the hardware you need. You don't need the skill points or the ISK necessarily as much as you need like experienced leadership and experienced pilots. If you know how to make money, it's not that hard to make money, get some injectors if you need them and stuff like that. You'll catch up quick.
Sure.
Yeah. But then also they pushed for Munins. Munins got a little bit of a nerf. I don't think it went far enough, but now they're Munins. They're very limited too.
Arguable. Did they really nerf minutes? I don't think that's enough. The rate of fire bonus, the tracking bonus.
Yeah, well, I think minions still work though. They can still dominate and like decide what range you have to fight on and all that
Exactly.
stuff. So
Exactly what I think.
yeah. Is there any ship type you would love to see in the game more used, or maybe ship type, ship doctrine, whatever? That's not viable at the moment.
T3 hack.
T3
Okay.
hacks.
T3 hack. Yeah,
Ugh,
I miss those days.
I don't miss that at
Fight on
all.
the gun.
Ah, that was bad. Like unbreakable shit. Oh.
They die to battleship pretty fast. You need something,
If you
right?
have enough battleships, for sure. But battleships die to everything pretty fast.
Well, what else do you think? Should we come back from the
I
meta?
would love to see more battleships, definitely.
Okay, yeah, but
Like
we have to
normal Tech
nerf
1 battleship
bombers.
stuff. Like I
We have to
like the
nerf bombers
dummies.
before, yeah.
Say it again, what?
Okay. Well, I mean, then we should probably nerf the AOE damages like bombers and
You know, you can avoid bombers fairly well, I think. Like if you spread out a little bit.
I definitely need that kind of lecture. Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
it's tough to, so you don't even have to spread out in an orbit of 30 km. Like 10, 20 km, that's already enough. You'll never wipe out an entire battleship fleet because battleships are supposed to be tanky. So if you have enough EHP, you can tank a lot of bombs. You're never gonna get enough bombs onto one target at one time to kill them then.
Right, right. I agree. Yes.
Yeah, because the area, like, if you, like, you know what I mean, right? You bomb from 6, 7, 8, 9 positions. The area where they all overlap is very small, actually. It's not that big. Like the other guys around them, they will all take damage, but they'll not eat the full damage. So I think bombs. Yesterday, you didn't see that many bombs. I mean, we were there doing our little thing. But if it was so effective and so strong, people would use it more, I think.
Yeah. I should probably draw some bombers yesterday. That would just end our miseries faster, you know?
Yeah, you know what? In the middle of the fight, I was also like, uh, I don't need this tie-dye fights, really. But yeah, has to be done. Sacrifice has to be made. But yeah, wouldn't you
But yeah,
agree? Tech 1 battleship doctrines and stuff?
Tech 1 battleships, yeah.
That would be great
Well,
to see.
maybe not like pirate battleships or faction battleships fair. Macarios, Nightmares, Nightmares is a bit of OP. Do you agree?
A little bit, yeah. I feel like, yeah. They're not super OP. I mean, if Stukas was still around, they weren't OP. Because I can catch nightmares all day. You don't easily anchor up with shield battleships and dodgers. So, but those times are over, sadly.
Stukas just punish those mistakes hard whenever you catch them
Yeah,
with
but
the
my
mistake.
point my point was always they punish mistakes. Like if you're not making mistakes, they can't do much. Play it right. And you've been flying with
Right.
Elo. He knows how to deal with Stukas. So you must know, like, it's not that hard to deal with them, but yeah, let's not go on a rant right now. I've talked about that too many times. But yeah,
Right. So if they have to buff kind of T1 battleships, I hope they can do with more of the EHP part maybe, so they can actually stand without facts.
yeah. I mean, the travel time has always been an issue, and that's kind of fixed now. I feel like the warp speed change was on point, so you can travel with them. You can do stuff with them.
True.
But
Yeah.
EHP, yeah, DPS.
Maybe just too many other good options, better options like hack the T3s.
Sorry. What did you just say? I had to sneeze and I was a little
I
bit
mean,
distracted.
there are just too many better options. You have
Yeah,
hacks. What else do you need? You have mutants already.
that's why I don't miss the T3 hacks, because they had so much EHP and the resists were just so crazy. Um, Battleships couldn't even compete with that. And then they apply to everything. They deal way less damage, but they apply every bit of it. So like that was bad for the game, the T3s. And now they're in a better
Yeah, you're
place. They're
right.
still strong though. I mean, you can still fly. You can see like mid-sized groups like Volta, for example. They're running legions with a little bit of EWAR. That's very effective, I think. Very hard to
Yeah.
deal with. And they obviously they've got experienced pilots and they're like a tight-knit group and very organized and stuff. So that plays a big role. When they show up, they're not showing up like with some sloppy setup. You know, if they bring 100 dudes, those 100 dudes they have exactly what they need and stuff like this. So you know, very strong. And then people are confused when like I bet some groups like feed into them with like 150 Feroxes or so. Of course they do. Like they have to form within 5 minutes and then bring whatever, and they bring like Feroxes. Then yeah, you're gonna eat shit. Yeah, that's just how it is. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think T3s have their place. I think they're in a decent place. Besides, maybe the Loki's a little too strong, but we can
Maybe
live with
just a
that.
little buff towards. Give some love to Proteus.
Yeah, I agree. That's a little bit too weak. Take some from the Loki and give it to the Proteus, probably.
That'd be perfect. In general, take some from the armor rat, armor Logi.
Well, there will always be that disadvantage, I think.
You
Shield
can
will always be a
cycle
little
it
strong.
faster. You can cycle it faster, but reps a little bit less. Because right
Yeah,
now the Logi armor Logi requires a lot more skill than the shield Logi in general, like piloting skills, not skill points.
maybe just a rig to lower the cycle time of remote reps. That would already, help.
That's a good point. Yeah, as you think about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first thing I thought about, but I think it would also be like I would keep the traditional like armor has the disadvantage of reps being applied later and
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
like this. So I kind of like that dynamic of things. And then, but for being armor tanked, you gain all these mid slots, so you can have more EWO and all that stuff. So the pros and cons where you have to think about stuff. I kind of like that. But yeah. And then also another question I ask every time, and I feel like maybe this is like one of the last questions. If anyone has like a really good question you want to ask, put it in chat now. But what I always ask is the number one issue in the game. So we talked about it to a degree earlier, and you probably gonna say Titans, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Like, what do you think is the number one issue in the game that CCP needs to address, and how would you address it? Would it be the
Oh,
Titans? Yeah.
that's a great question. I personally I do not have an answer for the blobs. Right? If even if I do, that's beyond the normal player level. I think CCP should act, actively be more aggressive towards the player organization. When it gets too big, it has to be some containment from CCP's level. That's what I think.
Oh, you mean like a hard cap? Like how are you gonna implement that? Like a hard cap
No,
on corp size or line
that's
size?
no, maybe not. But you can always create unlimited amount of alliances, right? You just have to make this undesirable.
Exactly.
Make
So you need to create
backboning.
an incentive to actually split up
That's right. Yeah.
and not be part of an
I
umbrella.
heard
Yeah.
about the I heard about the anomaly change or the resource scarcity change
Yeah.
that's coming at the end of the year. Maybe that's good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope they've got some good shit coming. I'm gonna invite a CCP rise at some point. I actually told him like at some point like you wanna come on and we talk about stuff, and he said like yeah,
Oh,
let's do
yes,
it
please.
someday. Would be
Nice.
quite fun to talk to him. But I'm not gonna invite him unless he brings out some good shit. Like I don't want to be the bitter guy complaining about the boost changes and
No,
citadels
no.
all
Let's
day.
actually
You
bring
know what I
some
mean?
constructive. Yeah, exactly. Bring some
Yeah.
constructive advice, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, let's hope they bring some really good stuff. Like, I'm trying to be optimistic. I think you are one of the optimistic guys too, even though you've seen it before with Tranquility, oh not Tranquility, Serenity, and you see the pattern. But let's hope
Yeah.
they can stop it. Yeah, and then also, guys, we are 2 hours 18 right now. So if you have questions, Schnitzel oder Bratwurst? What do you say, Noraus? Schnitzel or Bratwurst?
Well, what's that? Like, can you do a translate?
Just pick one. You can't get wrong. You can't be wrong actually with it. I'd say Bratwurst.
No, no. What does it mean? You have to translate for me. Is that German?
Schnitzel is a German. That's like Schnitzel is a German specialty, I guess. You never heard of a Schnitzel?
No. Do I have to Google it right now?
Nah, don't worry. It's all good. You can't go wrong with Bratwurst though. I would say if nobody has any serious questions, then I would say thanks for doing this. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you guys find your new spot. I think that's what you're doing right now. Like figure out what you want to do after this war, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
hope you
sure.
guys settle
Sure.
down in a good spot, get healthy again. I think you guys are probably still healthy. I think the morale was never completely broken.
No. Well, we're having a good time now. Except
Yeah,
for we need more content, and we're gonna find them somewhere else.
yeah. So good luck building a little empire, and see ya on the battlefield.
Thank you so much for inviting.
Alright, and then for the guys on stream, thanks for all the subs, thanks for the chit chat, and I'm gonna read that last question in a second. And thanks for the support in general. Like I'm always getting like great feedback from you guys, and it means a lot, right? I really enjoy doing this too, which is kind of weird because it started as a analysis thing, and I watched all my own videos, and then it kinda, I don't know where it became like an FC chat thing, but yeah, I kinda like it. The analysis thing about fights and stuff, that's actually coming back, and be ready for that probably next Sunday. So I might just do every Sunday, or I might pick another day, but there's some interesting stuff coming with like other FCs and all that stuff. Yep. Thanks for the support, and see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
+2 G4. Got it.